Gaming Bolt presents the 15 scariest, haunted, and spookiest houses in video games you should never visit. Horror games like to make sure you can't walk 2 steps without shaking in your boots, and the best way to do this is to make the player wander around a dark, possessed, haunted, and spooky house. Please note that this list will also include games that aren't necessarily haunted, but are spooky enough to send shivers down your spine. Anywho, here are the 15 scariest, haunted, and spooky houses in video games that you should never visit. Osaka House, Fatal Frame 2. Osaka House is the first location you explore in Fatal Frame 2. The house is the site of a brutal murder, and after exploring its many decaying hallways, you come face to face with the ghost of the murderer. Every room is blanketed in darkness, your flashlight flickering as it casts light on the weathered walls. You aren't here for long, but it's long enough to send shivers down your spine. Spooky's House of Jumpscares. What starts off as cute and cuddly quickly turns horrid and ghastly. Pushing through 1,000 rooms of terror only gets worse the further you get in. What starts off looking like a parody of other horror titles slowly shifts into an endless maze filled with traps, ghosts, monsters, and enough shadows and atmosphere to make a grown man cry. Spooky's House of Jumpscares is truly one of the most spookiest locations that you would never want to visit. Spencer Mansion, Resident Evil 1. Located on the Arkley Mountains, the Spencer Mansion was built by architect George Trevor for the aristocrat Oswald E. Spencer. It makes its first appearance in Resident Evil 1 during the T-Virus outbreak events around Raccoon City. During the events of the game, the mansion is overrun by zombies and monsters alike, making wandering through the deserted hallways and dusty labs extremely scary for its time. The House 2. The House 2 features a beautiful house belonging to a wealthy family, but suddenly, all of them commit suicide, leaving the house abandoned for years. Each room is filled with clues pointing to the fate of each family member, and ghostly specters wait for the chance to spring from the shadows. Haunted House, PT. An infinite loop of hallways and dead ends, PT's corridors endlessly repeat, changing slightly as the player figures out each new piece of the puzzle. A fridge swings from the ceiling, dripping blood. A deformed fetus whines in the sink, and the lights slowly dim, turn to red, and hint at something terrible that's right around the corner. Or perhaps right behind you. Brennenburg, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Old castles never seem to be kept in very good condition, and Brennenburg Castle is no exception. Waking up with no memory of how you got there, you must find a way to escape as you wander the dimly lit corridors, try to stay out of the parasitic shadows, and avoid the hideously disfigured monster that lurks through its cobbled hallways. Carno's Mansion, Phantasmagoria. Carno, a magician who lived and worked in the late 19th century, previously lived in this massive mansion. It's old, decrepit, and filled with hidden corridors and cobweb-filled corners. The characters visit the ancient house to get inspiration for a new book, but they get more than they bargained for as they learn of the many deaths that plagued the house and left it haunted. Washington Estate, Until Dawn. Situated on the top of a mountain with the only way down cut off, the Washington Estate is the perfect setup for a horror movie, and Until Dawn takes full advantage of this. 2 girls went missing a year ago, and now their friends have returned to the house intent on moving on. But the deranged murderer and mythical beasts that stalk the premises don't exactly make for a great vacation spot. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, Five Nights at Freddy's. Originally a family-friendly restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza later became the site of several kidnappings and more than a few frights. The animatronic creatures that define it are much more sinister than they appear, unrelenting in their goal to hunt down the player. Spending 5 nights in this horrifying pizzeria is not as fun as it may sound. The Derceto Mansion, Alone in the Dark. The Derceto Mansion, despite being a massive house sitting on a hillside, was built in secret because Elijah Pickford, the man who constructed it, was implementing a series of tunnels beneath the house. It was burnt down years later, but eventually rebuilt, and as soon as it was restored, it was haunted. Awfully convenient timing for the player that later stumbles through its doors. Roivas Mansion, Eternal Darkness. Anywhere that's home to the Tome of Eternal Darkness can't be a fun place to live in. The Roivas Mansion is cursed, which is built on top of an ancient evil as dim lights cast long shadows along the walls. The mansion serves as a hub, and you start out playing as Alex before beginning the next chapter, but once you leave its haunted walls, there's no turning back. Ocean House, Vampire the Masquerade. Any hotel that had to be closed down after a string of murders which happened within its walls is not a place you want to visit. Exploring the hallowed hallways reveals more and more information about what happened, telling the story of a jealous husband killing his wife and children to ensure they couldn't leave him. Truly unsettling stuff. Room 302, Silent Hill 4, The Room. Built to look like an old apartment, Room 302 is actually more than that. It's a prison that slowly starts to fight back against the player, making it more and more difficult to escape. The deceiving nature of Room 302 makes its hauntingly dark corners even more terrifying to explore. Your apartment, Paranormal. Whoever you play as in this game, Paranormal has a twisted sense of decor. Shadows cling to the corners, mannequins stand silently throughout the room, a radio drones on in the background as you walk past monuments to torture and despair. It quickly becomes clear that the apartment is home to a very deranged individual, and they've filled its rooms with horrid figures and the writings of a madman. Henry Stauf's mansion, the seventh guest. This massive empty mansion is filled from top to bottom with mind-bending puzzles that are just waiting for you to slip up. The game gives you glimpses into its past and the grisly murders that took place there, adding even more tension to the proceedings. The feeling of isolation never quite disappears, following the player as they explore the eccentric house.
And that wraps it up. What are your thoughts about this? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and share it on Twitter and Facebook. And why not consider subscribing? We upload some really cool videos almost every day. Thank you for watching this video and happy gaming!